Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama हरे कृष्णा रिवेंट ऑफ लॉर्ड कृष्णा। ये हम चैप्टर पढ़ रहे हैं कृष्ण लीला बुक रीडिंग। तो इसमें हम ऑलरेडी वी रीच द लेसन्स which are Vasudev is telling to the Kamsa when Kamsa is about to kill Devaki. So this whole episode going on where Lord Krishna will appear soon. So Lord told all the devatas to take birth in the earth, and then uh, there is a marriage ceremony of Vasudeva and Devaki. Then Kamsa takes the chariot of the Devaki and Vasudeva, and then the announcement or Akashvani happens from the sky, and it tells that Kamsa, you are a fool, and you will be killed by the eighth son of the Devaki. So this, on hearing this announcement, Kamsa become fearful of his death, and then he start uh, catching the hair of the Devaki, and is about to kill her. So now Vasudeva, he is husband of Devaki, so he is trying to save her. So he tells the philosophy, the nature of the mind is flickering. Sometimes it accepts something and immediately rejects the same thing. Accepting and rejecting is the process of mind in contact with five objects of sense gratification: form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. In its speculative way, the mind comes in touch with the objects of sense gratification. And when the living entity desires a particular type of body, he gets it. Therefore, the body is an offering by laws of material nature. So Vasudev is trying to make Kamsa understand that with the birth of this body, the death is fixed. And our mind is making us more and more entangled in this bodily concept by giving us a lot of desires and sense gratification ideas. Therefore, the body is an offering by the laws of material nature. The living entity accepts a body and comes out again into the material world to enjoy or suffer according to the construction of the body. Unless we have a particular type of body, we cannot enjoy or suffer according to our mental proclivities inherited from the previous life. The particular type of body is actually offered to us according to our mental condition at the time of death. So this is a science of accepting the next body. So when we die, at that time, whatever is our mental condition or our consciousness and whatever activities we have done, the result of that we get the next body. Like somebody did the activity like animals, so they get animal bodies. The luminous planets like the sun, moon, or stars reflect themselves in different types of reservoirs like water, oil, or ghee. The reflection moves according to the movement of reservoir. The reflection of moon is on the water, and the moving water makes the moon also appear to be moving. But actually, the moon is not moving. Same concept is told about the soul. How the soul is constant, soul is fixed, soul is not changing. But soul reflected in the body appears to be changed. So when soul accepts different type of body, we think that we are changing. Like we become from a small child to the adult and then old, and then we get another body. But we are not changing. The soul inside the body is constant. Like the moon or sun is fixed, but it is appears to be moving on the reflection of the reservoir. So this is the philosophy. We have to understand how soul is not moving, soul is fixed. Similarly, by mental concoction, the living entity and attains different kinds of bodies, although actually he has no connection with such bodies. So as a soul, we have our own spiritual form. But when we get the body, we think that by influence of Maya, I am a body, or I belong to this body. That is the way of conditioned life. Suppose a living entity is now in a human form of body, he thinks that he is belong to the human community or a particular country or a particular place. He identifies himself in that way and unnecessarily prepares for another body, which is not required by him. So soul actually doesn't need the body, but soul, when it comes in contact with the body by influence of illusion and mind's influence, it thinks that it is a like I am the body or I belong to this bodily concept. Such desire and mental conditions or concoctions are the cause of different types of body. And when we think like that, we again get more and more different variety of bodies. The covering influence of material nature is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in whatever body he gets, and he identifies with that body with great pleasure. Therefore, I beg to request you not to be overwhelmed by the dictation of your mind and body. So, due to our mind and body, we get different type of bodies, and we even become satisfied. Like an ant, you might have seen. So, ant is walking and just searching the food particle. When it gets food particle, it become very happy. Pig is roaming in the gutter and it feels pleasure. So like that, we see that uh, soul doesn't need body, but when we get the body, particular type of body, even though that body might not be that very high standard body, still we get satisfied when we acquire and we identify through that body. So Vasudev thus requested Kamsa not to be envious of his newly married sister. One should not be envious of anyone, because envy is the cause of fear both in this world and in the next. When one is before Yamraj, the lord of punishment after death, Vasudeva appealed to the Kamsa on behalf of Devaki, stating that she was his younger sister. He also appealed at an auspicious moment at the time of marriage. A younger sister or brother is supposed to be protected as one's child. The position is overall so delicate. The Vasudeva reasoned that if you kill her, it will go against your high reputation. So Vasudeva tries to save the Devaki by making Kamsa understand by philosophy, by telling that she is your sister, don't kill her. So in this way, Vasudeva tried to pacify Kamsa by good instructions as well as by the philosophical discrimination. But Kamsa was not to be pacified because his association was demoniac. But because Kamsa was a demon or Rakshasa, so he was not going to become pacified, and he is not trying to understand that why he has not to kill the Devaki. So he is ready to kill the Devaki even he heard the philosophy of body, soul, everything. Although born in a very high royal family, a demon never cares for any good instruction. He is just like a determined thief. One can give him moral instruction, but it will not be effective. Similarly, those who are demoniac or atheistic by nature can hardly assimilate any good instruction. So, however authorized it may be, that is the difference between demigod and demons. Those who can accept good instruction and try to live their lives in that way are called demigods. And those who are unable to take such good instructions are called demons. So in Bhagavad Gita also it is told who are demon and who are demonic. So demons who are those who cannot listen good instruction, who cannot live their life accordingly. And demigods or devata are who follow the Lord's instruction or who lives life nicely. Failing in his attempt to pacify Kamsa, Vasudev wondered how he could protect his wife Devaki. When there is an imminent danger, an intelligent person should try to avoid the dangerous position as far as possible. But if, in spite of endeavoring by all intelligence, one failed to avoid the dangerous position, there is no fault on his part. One should not. One should try to his best to execute his duties. But if one attempt fail, he is not at fault. So we should try our best to do our duties nicely. So like Vasudeva is trying to save his wife. Vasudeva thought of his wife as follows: for the present, let me save the life of Devaki. Then later on, if there are children, I shall see how to save them. He further thought, if in the future I get a child who can kill Kamsa, just as Kamsa is thinking, then both Devaki and child will be saved because the law of providence is inconceivable. But now, somewhere or other, let me save the life of Devaki. So he understood that if a child comes who will kill the Kamsa, then surely Devaki also will be saved, Kamsa also will be killed because the providence or destiny is very strong. But if I don't save the Devaki now, then nothing can happen. So he is trying to save Devaki now. So he will give the promise. So here a very nice philosophy is told by Vasudeva about the body and soul to the Kamsa. But Kamsa did not understand that because he is very much fearful and he is demonic. So he wants something by which his fear of death can be overcome. So then Vasudeva gives him promise that I will hand over you all my children in future. So that Kamsa will listen. So it is a very nice story of how he try to save Devaki, and then he promises that he will deliver all the children. So it is still very difficult for him to know what type of body he will going to get in the next life. So even though we may execute very nicely our duties, similarly a living entity may be very careful in matter of executing his duties, but it's still very difficult. Like Bharat Maharaj was very faithfully executing the duty of self-realization, but by chance he developed temporary affection for a deer, and in next life he had to accept a body of deer. So we should be very careful about our desires, our mental condition, because that will give us the next body. So then Vasudeva told all this philosophy, but Kamsa is not going to listen. So then what he does, Vasudeva, after deliberating on how to save his wife, began to speak to Kamsa with great respect. Although Kamsa was the most sinful man, sometime it happened that a most virtuous person like Vasudeva has to flatter a person like Kamsa, the most vicious person. That is the way of all diplomatic transactions. Although Vasudeva was deeply aggrieved, he smiled outwardly. He addressed the shameless Kamsa in that way because he was so atrocious. Vasudeva said to Kamsa, my dear brother-in-law, please consider that you have no danger from your sister. You are awaiting some danger, but you have heard a prophetic voice in the sky. But the danger is to come from the sons of your sister, who are not present now. And who knows, there may be or may not be sons in the future. Considering all this, you are safe for the present, nor is any cause of fear from your sister. If there are any son born of her, I promise that I shall present all of them to you for the necessary action. So, like this Kansa, now he will get pacified because Vasudeva promised that don't kill Devaki, I will give you all the sons born to the Devaki in future. So Kamsa knew the value of Vasudeva's words of honor and he was convinced by his argument. So then he left the Devaki. So what will happen next, we'll see tomorrow. We'll read. Thank you for joining the session. Hare Krishna. So today we have read the very nice philosophy spoken by Vasudeva to Kamsa about body, soul. Also, we have seen how soul is constant. Also, we have seen how Kamsa is not listening the philosophy because he is a demoniac. He will not value any good instructions. Then Vasudeva think intelligently how to save Devaki. So then he plans that let me save Devaki. So he promises that I will give all the children in future to Kamsa and let him not kill the Devaki. Like this story goes on. So very nice story on how Lord Krishna is going to take birth soon. So in that topic, so here the Vasudev and Kamsa, this transactions are going on. So then Vasudeva is successful in saving the Devaki. So for the time being, he desisted from the heinous killing of his sister. Thus Vasudeva was pleased and praised the decision of Kamsa. In this way, he returned to his home. So then he get returned to the home. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. So now you can subscribe the channel. We'll upload the playlist and you can read and listen to this. So now we'll continue from tomorrow from here, that how every year the Vasudeva gave the children to Kamsa.